Unit 5, Empirical versus Normative. In Unit 1, we saw types of sentences: interrogative, imperatives, and declaratives. And under declaratives, we saw two things: factual statements and value judgments. We saw factual statements and value judgments. And under value judgments, we saw the moral and the non-moral. So let's take the factual statement. So basically, declaratives will help us understand the distinction between the empirical and the normative. So let's take factual statements first. Factual statements. So what did we say about factual statements? We said that they describe what is there through observation. The way the world is as we experience with what? Our senses. So they are derived from what? Experience or observation. Factual statements. So if it is so, then we call it what? Empirical. We call it empirical. So you see, when you hear empirical and normative, don't be scared. It's very, very simple. We've done it already in Unit 1, long time ago. Something that is there, you've experienced it before, or you can observe with what? Your senses. So it is factual. So if something is factual, we call it what? Empirical. And I remember we gave an example. For example, she's taller than me. You can see very well that this girl is taller than ideas. So it is what? Factual. We say empirical. He's wearing what? A blue jacket. It is what? Factual. So it is what? Empirical. So if you are like that, then we say that you are also what? Verifiable. We can verify it. We can point and say that, oh, it's true. He's wearing what? A blue jacket. It's true that she's taller than me. You understand? So that is factual statement. So factual statements are what? Empirical. So we know empirical now. Now we itself it's normative. So as you can hear from the name, norm. When you say a norm, kind of like values, right? Yeah, values and norms of the society. Yeah. So under declaratives, it's all factual statements, and now we've understood that they are what? Empirical and verifiable. And then we also saw another thing under declaratives, which is value judgments. Value judgments. So value judgments in Unit 1, we did say that this is going to express our points of view. So you are going to evaluate or prescribe how someone should be or how things should be done. You see, so that is what value judgment. And we said under value judgment, we can have moral and non-moral. And we give examples like abortion is evil. So abortion is evil is related to morals, something moral. So it's a moral value judgment. My phone's camera is very good. This has nothing to do with manners or morals. So you see that it is a non-moral value judgment. Prosper is a sunflower. This one we explain that this one is what? A metaphor. And we said metaphors can what? Also replace what? Value judgments. I hope you remember those examples. All right. So when it comes to value judgments, here you are evaluating how someone should do things, how things should be done. You see, so you are prescribing, you are evaluating an action or a behavior. You are stating what? Standards. So we say this is what? Normative. So that's the difference between empirical and what? And normative. And now we are going to apply them. Since we now know the meaning of what? The distinction between empirical and normative, we are going to apply them. So let's look at the senses of law. Senses of law. So we have natural law. And when we are done, and as along the way, we are going to group each of the laws as either empirical or normative. Yeah. So you have natural law. So natural laws are basically scientific laws about nature. They describe features of things we observe around us. And then they are what? Disguised predictions. they are disguised predictions. Why am I saying they are disguised predictions? They have no exception and they can turn out to be false. So because of that, we say they are what? Law like. Because they are disguised predictions and they can turn out to be false, they have no exceptions. We say they are what? Law like. For example, all metals expand when heated. It's a natural law. So one day if you find a metal and you heat it and it doesn't expand, you've what? Falsified what? That claim that all metals what expand when heated. That is why we say that what it is law like, because it can turn out to be false one day in the future. All fish live in water. It is what? It is a natural law. Every human being breathes oxygen. It's a natural law. So there are scientific laws about nature describing features of things we observe around us. Okay, so the next sense of law is a civil law or statutory law. So civil law, they are man-made and they are legal. They are legal, they are man-made, and they come with what? Sanctions. And they come with sanctions. So you go against the laws of the country, there's punishment for you. So this one comes with sanctions. They are prescribing how things are supposed to be done, how citizens should behave in their country. So I'm right to say that what civil laws are what? Normative, right? Yes. Civil laws are normative. What about the natural law? The natural law, it is talking about what is there through experience. So this is what? Empirical. So we are segregating them at once. Then the third one, we have customary law. Customary law is also man-made and it's not written. It's embedded in what? Culture. And this is transmitted through oral traditions. So it's also man-made. Yeah, and they also come with sanctions. So the taboos, as you know, no farming on Fridays, no fishing on Fridays. All those ones are what? Part of what? Customary laws. And since they come with sanctions, they are also meant to what? You know, prescribe how things are supposed to be done. So we can say they are also normative. Normative. Yeah, so for the civil law, you can give examples like, let's say human rights, criminal laws, and stuff. They form the civil laws of the country. Okay, I think the next one should be moral law. This unit is very short. We're almost done. So this one has to do with a general rule of living, having the sanctions of God's will and our conscience as well. So moral law, that one is very basic. Applies to what? Everybody. It's universal. It applies in every culture, every religion, every constitution, or every society. For example, it is wrong to steal, it is wrong to kill. All those are what? Moral laws. And since they are also prescribing what should be done and what not should be done, we say they are also what? Normative. Then move on to mathematical law. So mathematical law, they regulate operations in mathematics, laws of addition, multiplication, subtraction, and a whole lot. They are also prescribing. For example, do not divide a number by zero, blah blah blah. Since they are also prescribing what should be done when it comes to operations in mathematics, then we say they are also normative. We have divine laws as well. Divine law. So when it comes to divine law, it comes from what? A particular religious doctrine. And the authority of such laws come from a supreme being. They apply they apply to the practitioners of the religion. For example, the Ten Commandments of Christians, the five pillars of Islam for Muslims, blah blah blah. And since all of them are also prescribing, telling us what to do and what not to do, we say they are also what? Normative. And the last one we'll look at is logical law. As for logical law, it is neither normative nor empirical. So this one, not empirical, not normative. Logical laws are basically analytical and they are formal. So they link what? Statements. They link true or false statements one after the other, following from the same premise. And this one helps to distinguish good and bad reasoning. We say they are what? They are deductive because they guarantee that if your starting points or your premises are true, then your conclusion what? Will be true. For example, if all A's are B's and all B's are C's, then all A's are C's. You say this is what? Logical. If all A's are B's and all B's are C's, then all A's are C's. So from your starting point, everything is true. So that is why I say they are deductive. They guarantee that if your starting points or your premises are true, then your conclusion will also be what? True. Now, the law of excluded middle, it is also a logical law. Law of excluded middle. It states that for every proposition, either that proposition is true or its negation is true. So over here, only one of what? One of the statements must be true. Either the original statement or its what? Negation. Only one must be what? True. That is what? The law of excluded middle. Either the proposition itself is true or the negation is what? True. So if you say a patient has malaria and they go for a test and then it turns out that no, the patient didn't have malaria. What does it mean? It means that what? Your initial statement, the patient has malaria, was what? False. They went for the test and they realized that what? There's no malaria, so that one becomes true. You see, so whatever you do, one of the statements will be true. Either the original or its negation will be true. Just one of them. That is the law of excluded middle. Another example is here. 2 is an even number. 2 is not an even number. So this is the original statement. This is the negation of it. So which one is true? The original is true. This one is false. So that is the law of excluded middle. So this is unit 5, helping you understand the distinction between what? Empirical and what? Normative.